a few more people chime in. Let a few more people come in this thing. It's gonna be heavy today. Shalom, shalom. Israel, shalom, sister.
Shalom, shalom, princess, brothers and sisters.
We jamming. I'm getting ready to start this class, man. What's good? All praises to the Most High, man. We're here for another day, man, to spread this word, man. You know what it is.
Praise.
You know what I'm saying? Let me turn this off.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High God of Israel, our King, our Savior, our Redeemer. This here class, family, it's gonna be rather deep because the knowledge and stuff that we're missing. A lot of the knowledge that we're missing is because we're not willing to deal with the things that were going on in the beginning, or we're dealing with teachers and stuff that really don't know what was going on. To why the name of this class is All Israel Isn't Israel, the serpent seed, the jinn species. So we're gonna show you how the jinn species got into Israel. This is why he says all Israel is not Israel. Now, they existed before we existed, okay? And you have a lot of these old silly little leaders and stuff right here that whenever they're teaching out of Genesis, they really tear Genesis apart because they don't know what's actually going on in Genesis. And what we're doing is we're going to show you how the serpent species got into Israel. And
Which, I mean, if you pay attention, just pay attention. You probably won't get it. You probably have to watch the class more than once.
Right.
But we're just going to give you the understanding, man, because it's really, the Bible speaks on nationalities, but it's actually
species.
We're dealing with species, man.
They replace species in the Bible with nationality and nations.
So, just follow along the best way you can, man.
Take your notes, family, take your notes and stuff and go back through and check these scriptures. And if you still have a little confusion about it, we got a second half of this coming.
And you also can hit us up on you can hit me up in my messenger. If you know this brother Page, you can hit him up in the messenger and ask questions. No problem. Or you can leave questions on here, and we can answer them as we go.
Right.
So, but I mean, it's time y'all know what's really going on. Because of the simple fact, you know what I'm saying, we've been lied to for so much, and we got to understand what's going on in these scriptures, man. So let's go. Let's get started.
And, the thing we got to understand is, but the first and foremost thing we must understand, all Israel is not Israel. So we're gonna explain how all Israel isn't Israel. I'm not gonna explain it, but God is. He just, like I say, he just showed me how to read the book. Let's get Genesis 25 and 25 out. So what we're gonna do is show you the birth of this species within our own species.
The book of Genesis, chapter 25, verse 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb.
There was what?
There were twins in her womb.
Now, this is Sister
Rebecca.
This is Sister Rebecca. Her having the birth. She's pregnant with Jacob and what we know today as Esau and Israel. Okay, read.
And the first came out red, all over like an hairy garment. And they called him Esau.
So the first came out red. He had a different tint to him. But he did descend from Negro. He had a different tint to him. He looked red. Now, we know about red bone sisters. And there's brothers that's got this real deep, ruddy look to them. And most of them are hairy. Most of them have more hair on them than the regular average darker brown skin complexion. Read on out.
And after that came his brother out. And he had took hold of Esau's heel. And his name was called Jacob.
Read on.
And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them.
Read.
And the boys grew up. And Esau was a cunning hunter.
What was Esau?
A cunning hunter.
Read on.
A man of the field. And Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in
Go
tents.
back into a cunning hunter. Read that again.
And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter.
Esau was a cunning hunter, and what?
A man of the field.
A what?
A man of the field.
A man of the field. We got to pay attention to these things because each one of these things are markers to show us these individuals today, so that we get the overstanding on what species we're dealing with today.
And Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents.
What did Jacob do?
Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents.
So Jacob didn't do all the nonsense, all the other stuff that Esau was doing. You know, he was just plain. I'm just chilling. I'm just cooling out. You know, it was a different species. Okay. All right. Let's get Genesis 3 and verse 6. Now we're going to show you in the book where this very same thing that happened in Genesis 25 happened at the beginning. Okay, so we're dealing with the exact same thing. Read it out.
The book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food.
Now, this is Eve in the garden talking to the serpent. Read.
And that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise.
Read on.
She took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
So the things that were taught to her by the serpent, she took those things back to her husband and taught him. And there was things that our ancestors, pre-ancestors, I'm talking about Adam and Eve, that when we did things, we only did things at certain times of the year. This is what's messing everybody up. They don't understand. We're not a beings that do rampant acts like they've been created and taught us to do today. Read on now.
And the eyes of them both were open.
And the eyes of them both were open, so they noticed something that they didn't see in the beginning. Read.
And they knew that they were naked.
They knew what?
And they knew that they were naked.
Read on.
And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons.
So what the serpent had taught Eve opened her eyes to realize in Adam that, wait a minute, we're naked here. So he taught her an act that involves nakedness.
He taught them sex, man.
Correct.
He taught Eve sex.
And Eve, the further we go along, you're going to find out that Eve is going to bear twins too. She was the first set. She had the first set. But the problem is that y'all can't get is that she was such a high vibrational being that she got pregnant twice in the same day. How about that? Read, Doc. Let's go Genesis 4 and 1.
The book of Genesis, chapter 4, verse 1. And Adam knew
Eve. Wait. In Genesis 3:7, it said, and Eve taught this to Adam. Okay? Now, we're going to find out exactly what he taught. Read.
And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain.
So, Adam, she conceived and bare Cain. Read.
Which is born, the birth is in the same
right.
order. The same order as Esau and Jacob.
Right.
It's in the same order. Esau came first, Jacob came second. In this birth, Cain came first, Abel came second. It says, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain.
No. Yeah, read on. Reading 4
and 1.
Right.
The book of Genesis, chapter 4, verse 1. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord.
Read.
And she again buried his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of the sheep.
Abel was a what?
A keeper of the sheep.
Now let's find out what Cain was doing. Read on.
But Cain was a tiller of the ground.
Of the what?
Of the ground.
So Cain was a man of the field.
As Esau was.
So was Esau a man of the field. It's maybe y'all can get it all you want, but we're dealing with two separate species, period. And the other species that we're dealing with in the book looks like you. This is the hardest one to see. This is the hardest gen to see. Okay? Because it looks like Israel. That's why the name of the class, All Israel Isn't Israel. We got to get this knowledge on what we're dealing with. That's why it says test the spirit to see whether they be of God or not. Because if you're of Satan, your devil, the devil. Let me rephrase that. If you're of the deceiver, you're going to be a deceiver. Period. You're going to be a liar, a slanderer, a murderer. You're as your father, the devil.
If you had a gene spirit in you, you just got the gene spirit in you.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just as simple as that. You're not going to see the truth.
Correct. Let's get Genesis 3 and 13.
The book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 13. And the Lord God said unto the woman.
So now the Most High is saying to the woman,
what is this that thou hast done?
Read.
And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me.
What did the serpent do?
The serpent beguiled me.
So the serpent tricked her. The serpent put a spell on her.
And I did eat.
So she believed what he was saying. She partook in what this creature was teaching her. Facts.
What did he teach her?
Now we showed you what he taught you. What he taught her.
Let me get this. The book of Genesis chapter 3 verse 1. And now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made.
This was a very smart creature.
And he said unto the woman, yea, have God said, ye shall not eat of the tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of these trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the trees which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. For God doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods.
Now, Eve was already on a higher state as a goddess or a princess, okay, of the Most High. She didn't even notice. So she thought she was taking on something more than what she physically was in. He was very subtle. He was smart, cunning. This thing is very deceitful.
And he also knew that Eve was the newest creation on earth as well. So Adam had been here thousands of years
right,
before.
Adam had already knew what it was.
He already knew who the serpent was already from when they was with the angels and with God when Adam was created. And
you're gonna find that out in the later half of the second half.
So
wait, let's go.
Her being as gods, she would be knowing good and evil.
Right, but she already knew good and evil. She was just deceived onto what was good
and what was evil.
That's just it. Let's get Genesis 3 and verse 14.
The book of Genesis chapter 3 verse 14. And the Lord God said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon the belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of their life.
He's just telling me going to be a bottom dweller. That's all he's telling. Read on.
And I will put enmity between thee and the woman.
He's telling you he's going to put a difference. There's a problem between her, him, and the woman, read.
And between thy seed and her seed.
So the seed of the serpent and the seed of the Most High God are going to be at war with each other.
Let me read that again so y'all can understand that. He said, and I will put, because he's talking to the serpent in 14. He says, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed, the serpent seed, and her seed.
Between the children of God, because the woman was created to bring the sons and daughters of the Most High God into this earth.
He shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
They're going to be at war with each other from the moment they come in this place, is what he's saying. They're going to never be able to, ain't never going to stop. Who is the most hated people across the face of this earth?
Israel.
Who are we at war with at all times across this earth?
The enemy, the other nations.
These are the serpent seed.
But they give you all these other nations, but they all one species.
Right, they all one species. They just have different appearances. That's it. They're all the same species. But until we learn spirit, we're not going to be able to recognize these species for what they really are. That's why that's why they have the appearance of a man.
The what?
They have an appearance of
the appearance. Man. They have the appearance of a man.
They have a disguise that makes them look like a man. A human man. Which hue means color, but now they hid themselves up under nations because now they can call themselves men, and they're not men at all. That's why he said in Deuteronomy 28:68, and no man shall buy you. Those were not men that our ancestors were being sold to. They just had the appearance of it. This is some deep knowledge that's in this book, and like he told you, that creature is very subtle. He is very smart. This creature knows you better than you know itself. then you know yourself.
And you can't trick this creature.
No, but it can trick you.
But it can trick
you.
It can fool you, but you can't fool him because he was here before you.
So now we got to learn to recognize this creature. And nobody's teaching you how to see this creature. And it's amongst us all the time. It's walking around and it just looks like a man. And that's what's confusing everybody. So when you got these brothers and sisters that's always at turmoil with each other, one brother always at another brother's throat, one sister's always at another sister's throat, can't be in the same room 5 minutes together, that's because one is one is a daughter of the Most High God, and the other one is a daughter of Satan.
Are you wondering why this child does everything you want him to do? He do good. He do good. He stay out of trouble. Then you have this one child that he's always in trouble.
Not Satan, but the devil.
You know what I'm saying? He's always in some type of mischief. Right. He's always causing up and stirring up some type of problems because they have two different spirits.
Two different spirits, two different nationalities right there. One, but they both have the appearance of a man. It's just that you're having a problem deciphering the jinn spirit from God's spirit. That's the only problem. That's the only problem. Read on out.
Verse 16. Unto the woman, he said.
Now the Most High said, unto the woman, he turned into the woman now.
I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception.
And thy what?
And thy conception.
Conceiving of birth. Now you should be sorrowful because you don't know whether or not the dude that they got our women running around the day bed hopping. You should be sorrowful because you don't know that if the dude you laying down with has a jinn spirit or the God spirit. You should be sorrowful about this because that when he says he's going to multiply in thy conceptions, thy sorrows, you should be in sorrow because now you're starting to get the understanding that this is about an energy. The whole book is talking about a celestial
That's
force.
why when you read through this Bible, you see that sisters never had choices.
Right.
You had to go through the father to marry the daughter.
Right. And he had to test that spirit to see whether they was of God.
So the man would work 7 years for the father to test that spirit to make sure he was righteous enough to be with his daughter.
Correct. So there was no jinn being brought into our species.
Come.
Okay.
It says, in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children.
Read.
And thy desire shall be to thy husband. Shall be to thy husband.
No, you can be an independent.
Shall be to thy husband.
Because there's a problem with what's coming into this world. That's why you're supposed to be submissive to your husband.
And he shall rule over you.
It's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
He shall protect you is what that means. He shall keep you straight. That's what that means. Because you're there to help keep him straight. So we got this is a duo. This is a partnership. We got to work together in this in order to come out of this. We can't rise if our women don't rise. Our women can't rise if we don't rise. That's why there's turmoil between the black man and the black woman. Let's get 1 Corinthians 14 and 33 out. We're going to read through 38. But, so we have to really get an understanding on what's going on is because this turmoil that was set in the beginning is still affecting us today. That's why they use the Willie Lynch letter. If you've ever read that, they still use the woman today as a weapon against the black man. And now they're using the children as a weapon against the black woman and the black man.
Of course, because what?
So this is about destroying a nation because they know that if we come back together under our God,
but what nation?
This is done.
What nation can't you control when you got the control of the women?
What nation can you control if you got the control?
If you got the control of the women, you can control that nation.
Correct. That's why That's why if you look around, you see Planned Parenthood in the hood. They're Planned Parenthood. They're in the hoods. You don't go out to where the rich white people live and see abortion clinics.
But it was set up for Negroes, but now this shit is backfiring on their ass.
Yes.
Because it's going on to their people just like drugs did.
Right.
Drugs backfired on their ass. Now their people are strung out on drugs.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But this was all set up for the Israelites.
Right. And like they put the abortion clinics in our neighborhoods and stuff for our young women to go and commit child sacrifice. That's why the Most High has majority of their women in being born sterile or without a womb. Half of the men are born with sperm that don't work.
And that's why women are being kidnapped.
Right. That's why our women are being kidnapped because they're after your womb. They're after your genetics, your body, your anything that has to do
with
your
gene
body.
is that? The what gene?
X gene, the double X gene, the YX gene is what the men have, but the woman has the double X gene, which passes on the YX chromosome to the male offspring. as well as the female offspring. So this is all about a celestial blessing. That's why they're spraying aluminum in the sky. That's why they're putting aluminum in all the food. Y'all should stay the hell away from Popeyes and any type of fast food out there. Stay away from it. If you're not cooking it yourself, know that it's something that's not been fed with poisons and hormones and stuff like that. Then you mess with it if you feel safe to.
You know what I'm saying?
But for the foremost part of it, this is about your celestial blessing. This is about that. That's why your skies have been purple, family. That's why your skies have been purple.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 33.
Read.
For God is not the author of confusion.
So when Eve brought the confusion to Adam, disrupted him, she brought forth confusion to Israel.
But of peace, as in all
the synagogues.
Right here it say churches, but we know that we dealt in the synagogues and in the temples.
Correct.
We didn't deal in churches.
Correct.
So, for God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints.
All right.
Let your woman keep silent in the churches.
Where at?
Let your woman keep silent in the churches.
In the churches. The Most High is telling you, just in my sanctuary, be quiet. That's it. That's what he's saying. You can bring your platform and teach whatever you need to teach about the Most High God on your own time.
That's right.
He said, but when you're on my time and I've set a spirit to come before you and speak my words, be quiet.
And when we talk about
that's it.
When we talk about the sanctuary,
well.
when we talk about the sanctuary, that's when men and women are gathered together as one.
Correct. So whomever the Most High put the spirit on to speak,
that's who needs to speak.
Everybody should be silent listening. Because the Most High has some very important things to say to us, and this world is not showing us this.
But the men are the teachers of Israel.
Correct. Our women are our nurturers. We are taught by our men. Our women pass on what they've been taught to the children. They nurture them in the way they should come up. And when they get older and the men start teaching them, then they develop that straight walk with God.
Now, it's nothing wrong with the women coming on Facebook with their little platforms.
No, it's not too wrong.
Nothing wrong with that. But it is something wrong if you coming on there teaching lies.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Be learned and be aware what you're teaching, because you got to understand we teach to wash blood off our hands, not to add blood to our hands. Correct. You understand what I'm saying? So make sure you are teaching correctly when you're on here, but it's no problem for a woman to get on here and teach of the Most High God's kingdom.
Right. But make sure you have the proper knowledge.
That's right.
So we don't want to add any stigma to one another, because we're trying to get out of this stigma. So we got to be very careful about what's going on. Read out.
For it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also said the law.
So the Most High God is saying that this is a commandment that he gave you about being obedient in his temples. And that goes for every man, woman, and child. Verse
35. And if they will learn anything,
he said, and if there's anything that has been said in the temple that you didn't quite understand,
let them ask their husbands at home.
At where?
At home.
So keep that, make you a note of that. So when you get home, you and your husband can sit down and he can further elaborate so that you get the understanding.
For it is a shame for a woman to speak in the temple.
Because the Most High God did not ordain women to lead. Period. I know sisters want to run and holler, Sister Deborah was an oracle. She was delivering messages. She weren't leading. God was leading. Y'all get stuck on the creature, not the creator. Get stuck on the creator. Get past the creature. Go to the creator. All right? Let's get Isaiah 3, 1 through 26. Now, what we're going to do right here, family, we're going to show you, sisters, that after all the things and stuff that's been happening, this is what's still happening to our nation today. And this is one of the biggest problems that's facing Israel that's coming back as a whole, is that we have too much division between our women and our men. And we've got to be together, family. That's the only way a nation will stand. That's the only way our house, undivided, will stand. We cannot be divided. Read that out.
That is the foundation.
Correct.
It's God and family.
Correct.
Once they tear God away from us and they tear family apart, we are a destroyed nation.
Right.
The book of Isaiah chapter 3 verse 1. For behold, the Lord of hosts, doeth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the state and the staff.
So the Most High is taking away all of the balance and the order that's in Jerusalem and Israel. Read on.
The whole state of bread and the whole state of water.
So a lot of us see a lot of people out there without stuff to eat, going without water, The Most High, all of this is by His hand because we're
That's right.
rebellious against each other.
And why is that? Because Job 9:24 lets you know that the world was given unto the hands of the wicked.
Right.
So what is the wicked gonna do?
Exactly what God told him.
He gonna put a stranglehold on our natural resources that we need to survive in this kingdom.
Correct. That's why you have to pay for water. You have to pay
Every
for food.
30 days you have to pay for water, food, housing, clothing, everything, and you have to go to your enemy.
Correct. This is all because we as a nation of people will not come back to our God.
Oh, but in the beginning we used to go to God for this.
Oh yeah, for everything.
For everything. But now He done set the enemy in our path where we have to go through the enemy.
When they send you that notice about cutting off your bill, who do you call? You don't call God. You don't go out and pray to God. You pick up that phone, Mr. White Man, can I get an extension? I mean, that's what it is, Mr. White.
Mr. White Man, I know it. Mr. White Man, I know it was due on the 31st, but can I make it to the 4th?
Right. You know, Mr. I own everything. You know, that's what he said. Read on out.
The mighty men
Read.
and the men of war.
So our mighty men and men of war are no longer there. Read.
The judge,
The what?
the judge, and the prophet, and the prudent, and the ancient.
So the Most High, the ancient is the old, the elderly. We don't have, how many times you seen Big Mama sitting on the street, sitting on the porch? Don't see that anymore. The ancient are disappearing. Because the oldest grandmother, the average age for the new grandmother nowadays is about 38 years old. You know,
There's some out there older than that,
Right.
but they still in the club.
they still in the club. It's talking about our mighty men aren't there. Our war men ain't there because our women are promoting homosexuality for our men. How can you glorify that? You going against God. I seen the thing where our sister paid this homosexual couple paid Warren $1,000 because he was fat and they wanted to see if he would run. Or if he could run.
What did he say?
Hey, he burned off. That boy,
He burned off,
you know,
but
but he still got that spirit on him.
I did it, friend. I did it, friend. I did it. That's how they all sound.
And they all got the
That
same
old
exact
wicked
voice.
spirit be on all of it. I did it, friend.
Right.
You did it, friend. Yeah, you did,
It's
friend.
all the exact same
You can
voice.
tell
So you know they got the same demon spirit.
Exactly when it's a woman speaking
Right.
and when that homosexual is speaking.
Correct.
You can tell the difference.
Correct.
They all got that high-pitched voice, but you can tell when it's that homosexual man speaking.
Right, and
You
it's
know,
that same spirit. It's that same gin spirit. Read on out. They all got this.
we did it, friend. We did it. I did it. I did it, friend. The captain of 50 and the honorable men
So all our captains and our honorable men,
and the counselors.
our counselors, who's out there counseling our people? We're supposed to be counseling our people with the truth. You get the truth here, but everybody else out there that we know, they're not bringing the truth.
And the cunning officials
Read.
and the equant auditors.
All right, the equate auditors. So who is running the finances and the things with our nation?
The white man.
The white man is.
And I will give children to be their prince, and babies shall rule over them.
So you're being ruled over by children. That's why children nowadays, they be like, oh, you bust their ass, they pick up the phone. Oh, that my mama beat me because I was doing wrong. I was cussing her out. Now
And
you got
that's
discipline.
CPS in your
That's
life.
CPS in your life.
Or the first thing people say, well, I just do it for the kids.
Right. I do it for
I
the
celebrate
kids.
Christmas for the
I
kids.
do it for the kids. No. It's the opposite way around. You do what the Most High God said. Not what your kids want. Not what, let me phrase it, not what the children want.
But you do what the Most High.
Right.
If we do what the Most High tell us, then we can teach our children
Correct.
the correct way.
The correct way. Read on out.
And the people shall be oppressed.
And the people shall be what?
And the people shall be oppressed.
So we're oppressed, read.
Everyone by another, and everyone by his neighbor.
So don't we have a lot of little strife in the same neighborhoods, right next door to each other, can't get along?
The children shall behave himself proudly against the ancient.
Against what?
Against the ancient.
So I've seen these youngsters and stuff talk crazy to the elderly. Handle them and all kinds of stuff.
And the base against the honorable.
And the base things are the things that are attacking us and calling us 2/3 of a person or 1/5 of a person. Got us wrote in their little constitution as that. These are the base things that are lying and deluding you.
Bro, these people are nothing but murderers, killers, and thieves. They have no identity. They do nothing but steal identities.
Right.
Man.
They're like pirates.
You got white Native Americans because they killed them off and made themselves Native Americans.
Correct.
You understand? You got white, man, it's all, the Spaniards ain't nothing but white people. These Mexicans ain't nothing but white people, man.
And it's, y'all lost out there. Read on out.
When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, Thou hast clothing, but thou art ruler.
He said, whenever a man takes hold and get a little wealth under, don't let him jump up talking about, oh, I got some clothes now, I'm ruling, I'm leading y'all. I got you, babe. Read on.
And let this ruin be under thy hand.
So they're saying, let this ruin be under thy hand. So they want to give it to the one that's so-called leading them, these campers, these pastors, these churches. You see? They're trying to take it and say, well, my sins I'm gonna give to this man. So I'm covered in the blood of Jesus because he my pastor, he got it. No, it don't work like that. Don't work like that at all. As a man so shall he read.
Because Psalms 146, 143 and 6 says, he said, trust not in prince or son of man, where there is no help, man.
Correct.
No help in man.
No help. This is real. Read, family.
When it says, in the day shall he swear, saying, I would not be an healer, for in my house is neither bread nor clothing.
The brother said, I'm just like you. This brother said, I'm just like you. I'm no better than you. I don't have any bread or clothing in my house.
Make me not a ruler of the people.
Make me not a ruler of the people. I'm just like you, my brother.
That's
what he's saying.
That's what he's supposed to be saying. That's what these men are supposed to be saying.
I'm not your ruler. I'm not your leader. I'm just like, that's why Amos 3:3 is so powerful. It's talking about that vanity. Get that vanity out of the way. Instead of thinking you ought to be leading and you should be ruling over somebody, your ass need to be learning. You need to get the real knowledge before you jump up talking about, I'm ready to lead. These brothers running around here seeking their own righteousness.
I'm a captain. I'm a deacon. All this different type of crap. Won't you just be a servant to the Most High God?
Right. Be a servant first. How can you learn? How can you be a leader when you don't even know how to serve? Because a leader is a servant. He don't serve himself. He's not a self-serving.
He's serving the people.
He's serving the people.
He's serving the people.
Read on now.
For Jerusalem is ruined.
For what?
For Jerusalem is ruined.
For Jerusalem is ruined.
And Judah is fallen.
Judah is what?
Is fallen.
Judah is the one that had all the problems. Read on.
Because their tongue and their doing are against the Lord.
Or against who?
Or against the Lord.
So it's talking today. Judah was the tribe, the kingdom that was scattered into the four corners of the earth. Judah today is still against the Most High God.
To provoke the eyes of his glory.
Read on.
The shoe of their countenance.
They show their countenance, read.
Doeth witness against them.
So your countenance witnesses against you out there. That's what he said. And your whole idea in your mind is witnessing against you, read.
And they declare their sins as sodomy.
And they do what?
And they declare their sins as sodomy.
They're open with it. I have sisters all the time. I heard sisters say, I need 3 husbands and all this. They declare their sins openly. They're prideful about being gay. Prideful about pushing that
Boosie
shit.
said the other day, he said he gonna give God the finger and tell him to shoot. Because he said he gonna eat some pork.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That's just pride, man.
They're prideful.
Psalms 106 and 21 say we forgot about God, man.
Our Savior.
Our Savior. We done forgot about God. Now we disrespect him to a whole nother level.
Disrespecting on a whole nother level. Read on now.
They hide it not.
They what?
They hide it not.
These sisters ain't hide nothing. They'll walk out with half their whole body hanging out of the little straps of clothes they got on.